Sorry, I'm not reading that comment out. Ange Postecoglou and co.
Hey.
Chelsea sort of exposed them a bit last night, but I was watching a bit of DR Sports earlier on today, and the brilliant Abby over there stated if it wasn't his first season, fans would turn on Postecoglou. I'm seeing Ange out trending. We saw Jamie O'Hara earlier on today talk about how he's been found out. Spurs have been found out. They're going backwards. What do you make of that, Hassan? Do you think it's as simple as Ange being found out, why they've had this regression towards the end of the season?
I love it when I can come back on the football terrace and just tell the whole world that I told you so. This is the shit that I live for right here. Ange Postecoglou right here has been exposed once and for all. People are, first of all, yesterday, their title hopes ended. Obviously they were going to win the league this season. That's what we got told by the Spurs fans. So their title hopes were ended by their long rival Chelsea. Chelsea fans, you could take that W. Hello, camera, focus. You could take that W right there. I'm so glad this has happened. I'm so glad this has happened because Spurs fans were so jarring at the start of the season. I still remember the straight facts I done on this very platform with a certain Spurs fan. We had a back and forth for about 45 minutes. And people were upset. People were calling me jealous because I called Spurs imposters. Are they imposters now? Or am I still jealous? Am I jealous of the team in 5th place? Or are they imposters? Yes, they're imposters. I said they won't be here at the end of the season. I said if they challenge for the league, I'll dye my hair white and sing "Come on, you Spurs." That's how sure I was of the downfall. And actually, on the stream, I broke it down. I said the performances are not actually matching the results because I felt like they were getting away with it, like the game away at Crystal Palace, like the game at home to Fulham, like the Bournemouth game, I believe it was, or some other game. I think the game against Man United. Even Terry came on here and said, even though obviously Spurs won, even United could have been 2-0 up. They hit the post twice. They had multiple chances. So the signs were there. For anyone to act like the signs just suddenly appeared is just false narrative. Sometimes people just have vision. We envision stuff before it actually happens. People just like to live in the moment. As soon as someone comes in, plays good football, there's another record Spurs broke yesterday. They're the first team ever to have that many points after 10 games and not end up in the top 4. Forget challenge for the league. Everyone on the whole world would have said challenge for the league is a step too far and all that shit. Okay, no problem. They didn't even finish top 4. And if your excuse is injuries, then Liverpool have been decimated with injuries. Chelsea that you played yesterday had players on the bench that had homework the next day. So you cannot mention to me injuries. There are a bunch of players I never even heard of. The guy that came on, number 63, Torinian, whatever the hell his name is, he's about 18, 17. I've never even heard of him, never seen him before. I didn't even know he existed. He's a Chelsea youth player. This is the type of shit that we were talking about at the start of the season. That's when a lot of Arsenal fans joined my side because they realized I was actually calling out these Arsenal fans. And I told them all, this is what it comes down to. People now, Spurs fans, you have two types of Spurs fans. 3, let me say. The ones who are going you know what? This is all Daniel Levy's fault. We're going to have to wait and see if this summer we spend and all that shit. And then you have the other 2 types. One that are blaming all of this on Ange, and the other type is that blaming all of this on the players. Suddenly, Bissouma is now a shit player. Suddenly, James Maddison is now crap. Suddenly, Heung-min Son is getting pocketed by Alfie Gilchrist. Alfie Gilchrist, who none of us even knew a month ago until he played at the Emirates or a week ago or whatever it is. At the end of the day, these Spurs players are not good enough. Stop comparing them to the actual elite players at the end of the spectrum. We've heard Spurs fans all year long. Bissouma is better than Rice. Maddison is better than Odegaard. It was just consistent comparisons. Van de Ven is better than Saliba, better than this guy, better than that guy. He's the best centre-back in the league. Pedro Porro is the best right-back in the league. He got absolutely roasted yesterday. And he couldn't do nothing about it. And he couldn't even cross a road. Udogie as well. And Vicario. I was one of the few people warning all year long. I said Vicario is not the goalkeeper of the season. Stop saying he's the goalkeeper of the season just because he makes 8 saves out of the 10 shots that he saves, because that's just Simon Mignolet vibes. Ange Postecoglou has been exposed big time. And I just want to go back to a newspaper article. This is the thing that got me over the edge when we were talking about Tottenham Hotspur at the start of the season. I still remember bringing it up to Terry, and he got it on the screen, where it's Spurs are no longer Spursy under Ange Postecoglou. Carabao Cup, you've been eliminated. FA Cup, you've been eliminated. Premier League, you didn't challenge. Top 4, you did not get. So how exactly are you no longer Spursy? This is the problem I have with certain fans. They just want to live the moment and they forget the vision where the club can head to. And by the way, teams have found out Ainge. I mean, we're sat here talking about the Spurs players, clubs have figured out Ainge. You know what I have to do now to beat Ange Postecoglou? Just play a bit more defensive. Let them have the ball. They're going to pass to the winger. He's going to look at the fullback for 5 seconds. If he fancies dribbling past him, he tries. And if he doesn't, he just passes it back. That's it. Pass, 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 pass. Do nothing. It's just toothless. There's just no bite. There's nothing there. James Maddison yesterday dropped a stinker. It's very easy to sit here and just talk about the usual suspects because I actually thought Romero, as an example, has been a player that over the last 2 games, even though we critiqued him at the start of the season, he's been a player over the last 2 games who hasn't even actually been that bad, as an example, Romero. So there's been plenty of players who Spurs fans put on such a pedestal, and now they come sinking down low. Some people will blame the manager, some people will blame the players. But for me, if Jose Mourinho and Conte can't be successful at your football club, no one will. No one will. That club is just doomed as long as they have those owners, as long as they have that direction. If you have any doubt about what's happening to Spurs right now, go after the stream and just watch the Antonio Conte press conference, his exit press conference. This is your homework to everyone in the chat. As soon as this stream ends, go and watch the Conte press conference. Everything he said turns out to be facts. Just like the Mourinho one, even Terry will tell you, just like the Mourinho one at Man United at the end, even though he was to blame, even though he made it toxic and all that shit, the Mourinho one, the football heritage one, a lot of it came out to be facts. Look how they play, if they play, all of that stuff. These are the things that we always talk about. It's not just living in the moment. I've been watching the Premier League for the last 20 years. I've seen Hull City be top of the league. Do you remember the 1-1 at the Emirates when Denilson, I think his name was, scored? I've seen Everton be top of the league 8-9 games into the season. Sometimes teams are just more physically prepared. Sometimes teams are just more mentally prepared for the start of the season. Sometimes teams have just had a longer, period of summer off. Maybe nothing has happened to them to the previous year to have a negative effect on them. So all of that type of stuff we've seen happen before, and people just want to have premature ejaculation. And as soon as a team plays good for 10 games, oh, he's the best. Do you remember the article that triggered you, Terry? And this is what I'll end on. Ange Postecoglou has Spurs playing just like Alex Ferguson had Man United playing. Remember that article right there? Or actually, I think it was even better than Alex Ferguson had Man United playing. So that tells you all you need to know.
Yeah, I mean, it's that article, actually, I've got it here. I don't think it was worded quite like that, but if I remember it, I'm going to get it back up on the screen. It said he might be the next Sir Alex Ferguson. That was published on the 14th of October 2003, and I'm not like you. I understand that he's been exposed. I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt, though, and I think he does need another full summer and a chance to improve that squad. There's a lot of players that are not up to standard. I do think, as a collective, they've been exposed towards the end of the season. The quality of player that he's got, with the way he's trying to play football. And I think he does need to adapt his style slightly because people have worked parts of it out. But I think this idea from Spurs fans of writing it off and saying, the one saying get rid of him, and I've heard a lot of them say it, it's crazy. I don't know about you, Staffy. I know you're a bit of a secret Spurs fan, as people say. But do you feel that the way people are turning on Ange Postecoglou is a little bit over the top right now?
I'm here to defend Ange. I'm not going to defend the Spurs team because I don't know how Ange has been exposed yesterday. I feel like yesterday's game showed me that the players got exposed. I watched the game yesterday. I saw the possession. I saw the shooting stats. I saw everything, and it showed me that Spurs have a good manager with not just good with not good players. I feel like if we want to be objective and talk about the team, you can 100% slander the individuals on the pitch, and no one is safe from the criticism. Even Bissouma, he's the biggest L I held this season because he started the season very good, and he just fell off a cliff since. So
better than Declan Rice, you said, didn't you?
Said he's a better 6. We're not going to revisit that.
You said he's better than Declan Rice. Don't do a Don here. Don't be a Don and try to fix it.
He has not been better than Rice this season. Let's drop this. I've said it multiple times. Rice has been better than him. If anything, I actually have a new narrative to push. I think they need to sell Bissouma. I think he's one of those players that has the footballing ability, but it's never going to match it with his attitude and his work ethic on the pitch. And I look at Ainge and I look what he requires from his players, and I don't think Bissouma is going to be it. Even Madison, listen, Madison, there was a lot of comparisons in the beginning of the season between him and Bruno and Odegaard and De Bruyne, and it's easy to say, very easy to say that he's been the worst this season because he started also the season very well, and he's also fell off a cliff since his injury. And them two are meant to be, I would say, two of the best 3-4 players in that team. You know, when you look at Romero, Van de Ven, and what's his name, and Son. I mean, these are the players you're supposed to rely on, and I don't think Ange has been able to rely on these guys. I watched the game yesterday. I love how no one calls out the fact that they conceded 2 goals to set pieces. Everyone talks about the high line, but they didn't concede any goals because of the high line. So it's like, I understand people like to push the agendas, but let's at least wait for a game like the Newcastle game where the high line got exposed. So I would ask everyone to be just a little bit more objective than that. But anyways, and to me, listen, if you get to go to Stamford Bridge and have about 64% possession, have 19 shots, but only like 3 or 4 on target, and the fact that you have that amount of possession in the opposition's half and you're not creating clear-cut chances, that's an issue because I don't even know how many clear-cut chances they created. I would love to check that stat, big chances created, but it's probably not that much. And that's the issue. A coach's job is always to get you to the final third, and the final third is when, if you're a quality player, you tend to express yourself. And I didn't see that from Spurs, and I don't see a lot against low blocks. That's the issue. I seen Ange yesterday scream at them saying, "Stop passing backwards." He was getting frustrated. And that just shows me one thing. This manager knows clearly what he wants. I still have issues with his lack of adaptability, but I'm not using that towards yesterday's game because I don't think he lost yesterday because of his system or anything. He just lost because they just have a shit set piece coach. But that's a different topic. I look at the Spurs team yesterday, and if I'm a Spurs fan, I am demanding big transfers this summer because this is for once that in recent years, they have a manager that has a very clear identity of what he wants to do. And it's not pragmatic. It's not negative. It's not anti-football like they used to say about Conte and Mourinho and all of them. He's a manager that really wants to do something, but you can't. What does it say, Terry? You can't polish a turd. You can't really do that with some of these players. You really can't. Like, you look at the quality on the pitch. There's nothing you could do with an Emerson Royale and these guys.
I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt, and I think he needs to be given time to improve this squad. I think Spurs fans turning on him completely is crazy. Where I slightly disagree with you, though, because I saw you put it in the group chat last night, like you said on the show, like, why is Terry blaming Postecoglou when they conceded set pieces? As far as I'm concerned, as the manager of a football club, you're accountable if your team is weak at set pieces, the same as you're accountable if you're good at set pieces.
That's a fair criticism.
Yeah. And I think when he comes out in a press conference, basically saying he doesn't care about set pieces, and then they concede 2 more from them, that's a problem. 100%. And this is what I mean by being exposed. All managers are at risk of being exposed. Last season, City was struggling, and then they adapted their system. They weren't exposed to a level where they weren't going to be in a title race, but teams are working out a way of nullifying them a little bit and getting something, and they adapt. And whether it be the setup on set pieces, whether it is the high line at particular points in the game, I think one of the areas that he's got to adapt is they tend to start a lot of games, especially early on in the season, like a freight train. And remember what I said earlier on this campaign about Arsenal? And I know I got a bit of stick for this when they lost to Villa, but I felt they started the season off slower, almost on purpose. And it may not have come as obvious as the manager saying to the players, play with less intensity, because I don't think it would work if you did that. But it's almost like him subtly doing it, where this is how we're going to play at the moment. And it is a less intense game so that you can pace yourself, because I think Spurs look, considering the amount of games they haven't played, they've not been in Europe, they didn't go on cup runs, they look shagged out, which is a very English expression for tired. They look shagged out. And I think it's because they started the season every game.
That word meant something else, but fair enough.
No, when someone, it does mean something else, right? It's shagged also means a little bit of the horizontal hula, but I don't know if it's said all over England, but in London, when you say, I'm shagged out, it means you're tired as well. It's got that double meaning.
Can I just say one thing?